Hello, welcome to the SPSS Skills Checklist video. My name is Dr. Lydia Jirogi, and I want to walk you through the basic steps of using SPSS. This video will look different from other content because I'm walking you through the steps of using a software. We have 28 skills to learn, some of which will be very simple, others you'll need to pause and rewind as you follow along. You are encouraged to watch this video in YouTube so you can adjust the playback speed and skip around to the content that you need more easily. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. The first skill is to open SPSS. This doesn't sound like it should be that challenging, but it is, because with the IBM SPSS package, there are a variety of things you could accidentally open that are not SPSS. To show you what this looks like, we're going to open our Start menu. We're going to scroll to IBM. We click on this option, and it shows there's a whole slew of other things that we can open that we do not want to open. All we want is IBM Statistics 25. Your version may be a little bit different, it may be older, it may be newer, but this is the one that you want to open. One thing you're going to notice is that this video will get a little bit jumpy because certain packages take longer to open. So I'll pause this while it's opening and then start back up whenever we actually have our dialog box, which is now. Skill number 2 is navigating the opening dialog box. Just so we're all on the same page, the dialog box is this guy, and that's how SPSS works, is through these various boxes where you select options. So the first thing is open new data set. If we want to do that, we can just click on close and it'll automatically be a new file. Open previous data set would be one of these guys, so we could open any of these that I've already worked on before. Open sample data set, so that's ones that those are data sets that come with SPSS. We could call them sample files, and we can open any of these. Next one is close dialog box in future. That's down here. If we don't ever want to see the dialog box again, we can click on that. And then exit dialog box is close. Our step number 3 is navigating between data view and variable view. These are really important things to understand because you're going to need them heavily when working with SPSS. In order to identify which view you're in, look at the bottom left-hand corner. So down here we have variable view. The way you know that you're there, if you don't want to look down here, is at the top you'll see name, type, with decimals, so on and so forth. These are the different characteristics of an individual variable. Versus when we click on data view, you'll notice that up here now it just says VAR or VAR, which is short for variable. And so we have the variables at whatever variables we've picked for our data set. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these numbers are what are called cases. Another way to think about them is either these are the participants you're going to be working with. And here is where you'll see your data. Now we're going to work on variable view functions. This is steps 4 through 10. The first step is to enter a variable name. So we're going to go under name, click on that first cell and type in PID, which for me stands for participant ID. This is just something I use so that way if I need to get them in a certain order, I can do that. When I hit enter, you'll notice that all this other information automatically populates in SPSS. Our second skill, or skill 5, is going to be to adjust the type. Whenever you want to adjust these different variables, you can click on the far right-hand side and it'll automatically pop up with a little blue square. We'll do this a little bit slower so you can see this. So the little blue square will pop up, we get a new dialog box, and we can now adjust whatever type we want it to be. The two that you really want to make sure that you understand are numeric, which is 99% of what we're going to be doing, and then the occasional need of a string variable. String just says I want it to be letters, words, what have you, and this way you can have people explain comments, that sort of thing. But we're going to leave it for numeric too. We're going to leave it at numeric for now. Number 6 is adjust the variable decimals. So we don't need decimals for this first one. So we just click on down, then we hit enter, and we know we've got 0, so we don't need any, and that's good. The enter variable labels. So I'm going to type this out, participant identification number. And generally speaking, you want to make sure that you remember that the name needs to be a very short. Your goal is to keep it just barely long enough to fill that box, whereas the label you can put in a much longer explanation of what's actually in there and that sort of information. Step 8 is going to be enter variable values. So under values, we click on that, again, that far right-hand area. Value number 1 is going to be, let's say, strongly disagree. Obviously, this does not apply to a participant ID number, but just so that we understand what this is for. And then we'll say 3 is neutral. Neutral. And 5 is going to be strongly agree. This is just for the sake of example, so normally you would want to go ahead and enter 2 and 4 as well, but just so that you understand, all we're doing here is saying if we had a 1 to 5 item and it had strongly disagree to strongly agree, you would enter in whatever the value is and then whatever the name is, and then you click OK. And now SPSS, when it runs analyses, it'll be able to show you what the actual name of that value is, rather than just seeing a number that may not necessarily communicate everything it needs to. Skill number 9 is entering missing values. So in order to do that, we click again on our right hand side, we get our new dialog box. You have two options. You have discrete missing values, and so for me, I'll usually enter 99 or 999. I want it to be a number that there's no way I could possibly have entered this one or keyed this one by mistake. So that's part of why I want to make sure that it's really, really different from whatever value could possibly be there. The other option is I could do a range. So I could have 99 to 999, and anything in there would be considered missing. And what missing does is it lets SPSS know, do not include this in the calculations. Click OK, and there we go. Our last skill for the variable view functions is adjust level of measurement. You definitely need to do this, and you need to make sure you get it right for each one. So we'll click on measure. We have three options: scale, ordinal, and nominal. For participant ID, that one's definitely going to be nominal. So we click on that one, and it knows, SPSS then knows how to treat this variable whenever we're doing analysis. So you'll want to make sure for every variable that you plug in that you have the right level of measurement associated with it, or else it will cause you problems when you try to do your analysis. We have two skills that we need to learn for data view functions. So in order to do that, we're going to have to click on data view. We go to the bottom left corner, data view. So now what you're going to see is that the one variable we entered now shows up as PID, and then we still have var for everything else. So what we need to do is we're going to enter 5 candidates, or 5 cases or participants. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just hitting the number and then hitting enter. And so now we have 5 cases entered. So we have 5 people, 1 through 5, and we're ready to actually go ahead and start entering data for them. But now before we do that, let's look at skill number 12. And we want to be able to sort ascending and descending. To do that, we're going to right click over the variable name, and you'll see sort ascending, which doesn't change anything because it's going 1 through 5, and then we click right click and then we click descending, and you'll notice that it swaps it now from 5 to 1. So those are the two skills we need for data view. Under file functions, we have 3 things we need to learn, 3 skills we need to learn: save data, import data, and save output. Just so we're on the same page, one thing you may not know at this point is that output is a completely different window. Right now we're looking at the data window or variable window. This is what our output window looks like. We need to in SPSS, we have to save these separately. So let's go ahead and start with save our data window. So we're in the data view, file, and save as. I'm going to save it to my desktop. I can find my desktop. And we have MKT 652 example SPSS v1. And I click save. And we're golden, that file is saved. Let's go ahead and save our output next. And file, save as. And what we're going to do, again, we're going to put this on the desktop. Let's see, desktop. And MKT 652 example SPSS output v1. So it won't look any different in the saving process, but it does have a different attachment, and so whenever you open SPSS and you want to open this file, it will open different windows. But we click save, and then we're good because you can see it says it saved the file. And then our last step in this section is going to be to import data. So let's go back to our main window. We could have done this in the other, but I like to be in this window when I'm working. File, and we have import data, and I'm going to import an Excel file. So in my desktop, I have example Excel file. I'm going to open it. It's going to take a second, and it's just saying, hey, these are all the cases that you wanted, and these are the variable names, and I'm going to click OK. And now you can see this is all the data from the Excel file. Let me move that out of the way. So you can see we had our PID, we have our X, and we have our Y. So we're good to go. Due to the length of this video, we're going to pause here at step 15, and we're going to start a new video at step 16. So if hopefully you got what you needed out of these first 15 steps, and if you need the latter steps, we'll go ahead and move on to the next video.